Good morning, everyone. Marvin and Bianca here.
Good morning.
And we had a great Christmas, huh?
Yeah, we did.
Nobody got dog bit. That's always a bonus for me. And hopefully y'all did. And we got New Year's coming up.
We have the weirdest thing with our boarding scheduling, though. We're normally so busy for Christmas and like the week before, and we're busy now.
I know, it changed. It wasn't even that busy during Christmas.
No, it was pretty quiet.
But then it got really bad. Now it's going to chill out for a day or two, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening this weekend with the New Year's. I don't keep up with it as much as I used to.
We usually get a lot for New Year's because people board to keep their dogs away from the fireworks.
We don't even have fireworks around here no more, I don't think.
No, they can't hear them in the barn.
Yeah, back in the day, we used to have a lot of them across Canyon. We had a big old fireworks display. We could watch them
really?
4th of July.
Huh.
Yeah, they had fire department out watching them and everything. And years later, somebody complained enough that they quit letting them do it. I don't quite understand it. It was a pretty fun, free show right here at the house. We could just open the sliding glass doors in the bedroom and watch them. But no more. So, Bianca, do you have any subjects you would like to talk about?
I do not.
Really? It's just unusual.
It's a Marvin free-for-all.
I like that. Just not in the mood to get in trouble today, though. That's kind of weird. You need to move out over here, Brett.
You're good.
I moved it a while ago because I was wiping the table off or something. So let's do some talking about people getting discouraged with their dog training by trying the wrong techniques or going to the wrong people, or sometimes not getting to the root cause of the problem, you know? And I don't want to throw people or trainers or nobody under the bus, but I don't know if you were out there this morning, me and Nancy and us was talking about it. I thought you might have been there, but it's like me taking my vehicle to a mechanic and not getting it fixed, and then I go to another mechanic and not get it fixed. And I just seen it on Facebook the other day. Somebody was disking a mechanic shop, and another guy's like, "Man, I've always had really good luck there." And they're like, "Yeah, we were referred there by a friend, you know, and they always done such good work, but they didn't get it fixed, you know." But I feel that there's so many times with the vehicle, you take something in that's just worn out, you know, and you fix one thing and then something else breaks and they blame that mechanic instead of blaming the vehicle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not sure where you're going with this in relation to dog training, but I'm listening.
So I think sometimes when we go to train a dog for someone, they tell us that this is what their problem is, you know?
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And we try to really address that, but we do the whole thing, you know. We start every dog pretty much the same that's here for board and train.
I wouldn't say we start them all the same. We evaluate them all the same.
Yeah, they end up the same when it's done.
Yeah.
But we might start them differently because it depends on whether they're trying to bite us or whether they're scared or...
Some dogs we start on recall because they'll jump a fence.
Yes, yeah. So, but there's so many times whenever a dog gets trained and they go home, and then there's something different pops up from the people, you know. They're like, oh, you know, they always get under the bed and won't come out. For me, I think that sometimes it's a matter of what you do with that dog once it's been to a trainer. And always for me, any dog training I've ever done, if we can't fix the human, you most likely won't fix the dog. Because the human will let the dog go back to it, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes it so hard for people to change so much. When the dog goes home, normally they're pretty cool. It's just the human that decides to let them back on the couch the day after they get home, or let them hang out in the kitchen with them while they're cooking dinner, or every time they go to the kids' ball game or something, they take the dog with them. And
I guess all of those things, though, are so... Those aren't just general things that a human does that causes problems with dog training. If you have a dog who resource guards food when you drop it in the kitchen, that dog shouldn't be in the kitchen. If you have a dog that counter surfs, that dog probably shouldn't be in the kitchen. Not saying you shouldn't address the counter
Right, you should fix the problem
issue to begin with.
Yes.
But the three things you said, the dog being in the kitchen while they're cooking, going to baseball games, and letting them on the couch, some dogs could go home from board and train and do all three not have problems.
But
it's generally the people who are having serious problems, like the dog having separation anxiety and they take it to every ball game, and the dog having counter surfing issues and they let it in the kitchen, and the dog having a resource guarding issues of furniture and they're allowed on the couch. It's so subjective to the dog, and typically the dogs that have the specific problem, those owners struggle the most with holding to their boundaries in the area needed most. Like a dog with separation anxiety, the owners have the hardest time being away from the dog.
Yes.
The dog that counter surfs, the owner feeds him kitchen scraps. The dog that resource guards the furniture, the owners let him sleep in the bed. It's not that those three things are bad. It's that the people who are struggling in those areas struggle the most to make those things a clear new boundary when they take the dog home. And I'm not saying every person, because some people just get it and they go home and they're like, okay, I see how to live better with my dog, and I see how to not have these problems, and they completely throw away the frustration at the dog and realize it was me and I can change those things.
For sure. And a lot of times the same thing is, if you bring your dog here that doesn't really have separation anxiety and it doesn't own you, people can't protect them if it don't own you. And you bring it here because let's say it runs away when you try to walk it. So we get a really good recall on it. It drags you down on a leash. We get that problem fixed.
Yeah.
And then you go home with your dog. And let's say it doesn't ride good in your car. And we get it to settle in your car. But you take the dog home and the dog's done so good. And that was my point a while ago. Then you take it to all the ball games. Then you let it hang out in the kitchen with you. Then you let it hang out on the couch with you. Then you're going to flip that around, and you're going to, if you're not careful, you're going to get a dog that's going to have separation anxiety, because now your dog is so good, you just keep it with you all the time. And you don't put it in a crate, and you don't ever leave it at home. You don't ever leave it by itself because it's being so good. If you're not careful, you're going to step up into a new problem. And that's what gets people in trouble sometimes when they get a dog, I feel, that has been trained really well. Then they start giving it too much freedom without enough rules, and just training, for me in general. I think you can train on all dogs, even if you have a super, super cool, well-trained dog, you can always train on them. And I see you do it with your dogs once in a while.
I need to do it a little bit more this next month.
Yeah, but you just do. But I mean, normally for you, when I see you doing a lot of training on a dog, it's because the dog got a little bit too much freedom.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it's not even been in trouble, but you see it coming now. You can recognize it.
I'll, gripe at my dogs now. Scout. Cash. Tilly was eating cheese out of those people's pockets the other day. And I'll gripe at them, but I don't scold them.
Right.
Because it's not their fault.
No, you just need to train on them some, and I don't know, for me, it's just like, the other day someone told me that they just don't take time. I don't train my dogs. It's not on our list. I have priorities and my dog ain't on them.
The thing is that would be fine if you're fine with where your dogs are at.
But
if you're unhappy with where your dogs are at, and if you're unhappy with your dog's behavior, there's no excuse.
I know, and that's, it's just like, sometimes, you have something and you can't get rid of it. I don't have those problems, but they call it collecting, Some people call it, what is that when your house is full of stuff, and hoarders, Like I got a shirt that Jody literally put a note
down the road right now.
Jody put a note in my pocket the other day. I hope this is the last time I have to wash this shirt.
That is so funny.
And I told her, no, you better not even throw my shirt.
Are you wearing it? No.
No.
That one doesn't have any holes.
No. But she bought me like 3 or 4 shirts. She had the kids to buy me shirts for Christmas. Hoping, I had like 5 new shirts. She's hoping one of them will replace that one.
You should be very thankful for her that she doesn't just throw them away.
Well, she's hid it from me before, this one shirt, and seeing if I would miss it. And I tore the bedroom apart, and I found it hid behind the door. And I put it back on my coat hanger. So she has tried to get rid of the shirt. So the moral to the...
I'll give her some pointers. It's called the burn pile or the garbage can.
Well, she's afraid of the repercussion because she collects junk too.
That's the difference though, is you would be worked up over the dirty old hold up shirt, and Brett would be like, I can't find that shirt.
Oh, not me. If it's a different shirt, I've got a briefcase that's been missing for 2 or 3 years. I'm okay with that. I'll find it one day. But my shirt, no. I gotta have my shirt. Yeah, my binoculars. They didn't even bother me as bad as my shirt. My shirt was like probably a $50 shirt. But when it comes to dogs, for me, I feel, and this is going to offend some people, If you're not going to have a quality life with your dog, and your dog's not going to have a quality life with you, always for me, I would try to find somewhere they could have that great life, where they could get to do a lot of running and playing and whatever.
I think you should give yourself the ultimatum of either, and we're not talking about anybody specific,
no, I'm not talking
but you're in a situation where you're unhappy with your dogs are stressed, you don't have time for them. I hate when there's such a stigma around rehoming, because sometimes it's like, here's your ultimatum. Either you get your shit together and you make time for your... I sometimes fall asleep. I'm so tired letting Rebel have a good time in the evening, because she needs a lot more than my other dogs do. And I'm lucky enough to have a husband that will help me with my dogs some, but I think that you either have to, or you have to do what's best for your dog.
Yeah, and me, I'm not saying throw your dog out on the side of the road or drop him off at the dog pound,
But I think if you can't even imagine the thought of rehoming them, then you need to get your shit together.
Yeah, step it up. And we have people here that will bring a dog here and pay us to board and train it, and then have us help them find them a home, And it's just because they don't fit their world. And I mean, I don't know. People get divorces because they don't fit one another's world,
Yeah.
And I think that the dog don't have the option to say, I want to file a divorce,
Right.
I wish I could advocate for dogs and be a lawyer,
Yeah.
That'd be
CPS, but for dogs.
Yeah. Might do that one day when I get tired and bored. But it's just so sad to see the dogs that don't get to do nothing, and not even that as much. But they don't get to do what they could do, and it really offends some people when we can do something with a dog so easily, but the owner still can't,
Some
people, not all people, some people just stick it out and learn.
Offends is probably not the right word.
Pisses them off?
Frustrating.
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
Is that not the same difference, all of it?
It's different. Yeah.
In a good way, though? Is it encouraging? Because they want it.
It didn't encourage me any when I was a client.
What do you mean?
When you could do stuff with my dog that I couldn't get him to do, it didn't
No,
encourage
it pissed
me
you
at all.
off.
Yeah, it frustrated me.
Bad.
But that didn't make you want to see if you could do that with your dog?
I don't know that was my motivator.
I'm just kidding.
No, it's a good conversation. I can't tell you that when my dog was my root issue, this is Marvin's, I think, whole topic is specifically talking about trainers who don't address the root issues. And my root issue was that I wanted Scout to do what he would do for Marvin, but I didn't want to kick him off the couch. I didn't.
Yeah,
want to
you
have
didn't want to
boundaries
put
with
in the
him.
work.
You remember how bad I was? I defended him to you. I mean, I was like, he's a baby. He can do anything, and he's perfect, and he can't do anything wrong. And he was so annoyed with me over it, but he didn't. I don't know how he was so nice to me through all that, but Scout got away with murder. I mean, he could have put holes in Brett, and I probably been like, "What'd you do to us?"
Yeah.
But
It's always that way with people and stuff. I remember I started learning how to team rope. I was like 33 years old or something when I started actually learning how to team rope. And a guy told me he said, you need to rope the dummy on the ground 50 times without missing.
Yeah.
Before you even look for a horse. And he said, then you need to get an old horse that's good and you need to learn. And I'm not, and I'd rode horses since I could ever remember, But I remember roping that dummy and I'd get to like 48 and I'm like, man, 2 more and I'd start shopping for a horse and I'd miss. 49 I would miss. And I was so stuck on I'm going to be able to do 50, but I'm going to be able to do it numerous times, not just once and go get a horse. And I got to where I could. And here a while back at a roping, the kids' rodeo deal, some kids were roping the dummy, and they weren't roping as good on a horse as I feel they could have, And they were starting to play games, They were getting way out and over here and throwing. It's like turning your dog loose on the coast before you can turn him loose in the field. And I told the one little kid, I said, hey, because they listened to me, pretty good. And I told the one little kid, I said, hey, if you would practice and make yourself catch 10 times in the right position before you goof off, you would be a better roper. And did the kid listen to me or not? I don't know. But that's kind of what happens to us whenever we help people. Sometimes, like I said earlier, they go from a really ornery dog, they go home with a really cool dog, then they give the cool dog too much freedom, and they don't put in enough work themselves on training that they start losing that. And so, me with my roping, I got to where I don't know, I was pretty handy with roping dummy. So I bought me a really good old horse, and I was roping on, doing pretty good. And they was going to have this local jackpot down in Albany, Oregon. And I wanted to go, and the guy who was helping me, he's like, man, you're just not ready, It's my freaking money, And he said, you're not ready. And John Bridges, he was at my wedding. He heard this conversation, and he rode over to me, and he's like, Martin, if you want to go down there, he said, man, I'll rope with you. I said, really? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, I'm going. And, my determination from the day I started, though, was enough. And not brag on myself, I'm just bragging on the determination that I had and the work ethics I put into my roping. Lucky? Yeah, you can call it lucky, I don't care. But when I got down there and roped that day, I won like $500 and some and a nice belt buckle. And everybody wanted to rope with me once they seen I could start catching, And so if people would take that mindset with their dog, like you kind of did, you struggled with it because you didn't understand why you just couldn't be that good because you're that good with everything you do,
Oh,
Does that make
yeah.
sense?
Yeah, I'm very book smart.
Yeah, you beat yourself up because whatever you decided to do, you were so good at it.
Yeah.
But then when you came here and my whole thing was different, you beat yourself up. If you would have spent the time and effort into just learning instead of beating yourself up, it would have went quicker. But I don't know if you would have been sitting where you are now if you didn't question it and dissect it because that's what's good for you. Does that make sense?
For sure. Yeah, I really, really needed to understand it. And I read something the other day that really made me think of how the way that I learned and the amount of effort you had to put into teaching me. And it was talking about like some people's brains, if you just say this is how it is, they might just do it. I can't.
Not you. Yeah.
I'm incapable of that.
I agree.
I'm like, why?
Yes.
And then you can't just tell me why.
Yeah.
I'm like, but I don't believe you. I need to see how it will work. But then that empowered me to be able to coach.
For sure.
I don't think I ever would be able to teach people if I didn't really understand why. Like I'll never forget the moment Aggie's mom was in here and said, "That's not what Marvin said the other day." And I was like, nobody could possibly relate to you more. Yesterday or 2 hours ago is not what Marvin said, but he'll tell you something different. And
Yes.
getting to the place where you understand why.
And you
It's
cannot
happening.
just keep, in my opinion, in my world, you cannot train all dogs the same. You can have all this, like I say constantly, when a dog comes in, I put a blank canvas on the wall.
Totally. Yeah.
And I see the picture
Yeah.
when it's finished already,
Yeah.
but I got to figure out how to put
Yeah.
all the paint on.
It's a
in the
really
right
good
spot.
example, that Daisy puppy that we just brought in for a couple days. If we would have brought her in and any trainer, food or balanced, whatever they're doing, if they would have went on a list and said, okay, we're going to teach her recall, we're going to teach her place, we're going to teach her how to walk on a leash, we're going to teach her how to sit, that puppy, I think, would have done all those things, but it wouldn't have been what she needed.
No.
She didn't need, she's going to fly through
I
obedience.
don't even know if
figure that out
she would
so
have
fast.
done them because she might have done them for one person.
Right,
But
right.
not different people.
It wouldn't have ingrained it into her brain. No,
not
but,
like just
But
being a
don't you
puppy.
agree that puppy, when she starts obedience training, is just going to get it?
Oh,
She'll
yeah,
be
for
fine
sure.
with obedience.
Yeah,
but
you bet.
that's not what she needed.
No, she needed to be a
She
puppy.
had
that,
this layer of like a hermit crab shell that was like, I don't know who you are, and I think I'd rather you not touch me. I'd rather you leave me alone. And there's a balance of respecting a puppy's space, but also letting that puppy know, hey, you don't need to put that shell on.
Yes.
You don't have anything to worry about. All of us are cool.
And
We're
you can
not
see
gonna-
how much the puppy wanted the affection.
She did, yeah.
But it just
She was
traumatized
just
her.
unsure of
Yeah.
herself.
And I talk
Yeah,
about that
yeah,
constantly about
Yeah,
whether it's a doodle, a Rottweiler, or Chihuahua. When you go up there and you're overpowering
Yeah.
a puppy, some of them get really traumatized.
yeah.
Other ones don't, But the ones who get really traumatized, then people start trying to drag them around and making everybody pet them and holding them while they
Yeah.
pet them instead
Yeah.
of letting them be a puppy.
And the stuff that you've taught me to do with a puppy like that, who just needed to take that little hermit shell off, is so random if you don't understand why. Because
Right.
it was like, Brett, will you sit on the floor? And then the puppy didn't want to come over to him. I said, okay, here's the leash, now walk away with it. It's like he's not interacting with the puppy
Right.
at that point. He's just showing her she's got to follow him somewhere. And then he came back and he sat down and made himself little. And she came over and she was like, oh, you're cool. And then
Yeah.
the same thing with the next person. And then I went through, I explained this to the owners too, but I tell people all the time, we couldn't do what we do without the basket of staff dogs that we can pick from.
For sure.
Because I didn't bring Scout out because I knew Scout would be way too high energy for that puppy. I did bring Cash and Mari. I don't think maybe I did bring Tilly because Tilly leaves everybody alone in
Yeah.
the round pen. But Cash was a little bit like wanted to play with her, and he's bigger than her, so I put him up. And then Tilly and Bear will like lay around and let her sniff them. So I waited till she got comfortable with them, but they don't play.
Right.
They don't interact with the puppy much. So then I went and got those two little things that are 7 months old, but they're smaller than her,
Yeah.
and brought them out. And then Truman had her partying. He was like, we're going to play. And he was like literally
Yeah,
slapping
slap
her with
her,
his
yeah.
paws, and then she was slapping him back. And then now she sees them and she's like, yeah, we're playing. But if I would have said, Bob, bring over your neighbor dog Frito and let her rough up this puppy, that puppy would now be like, okay, I have one shell to fight people off, and then I have another shell to fight dogs off, rather than coming out of it and opening
it's
up.
just so true.
If you go to a trainer who follows a list of, okay, we're going to teach this, 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 and this, and they don't understand the mechanics of the dog's temperament and their perception of people and their attitude, if they're bratty or if they're soft, and if they think they can just walk all over people,
Yeah.
and that doesn't get addressed, or if they're afraid of people and you don't show them they don't need to be afraid of people, if you go to someone who's just going to slap some obedience commands on, even if they do it purely positive with food, it's not necessarily going to be a positive experience for the puppy, and it's not going to address the real root problems of what you have. And there are a lot of trainers, particularly in our area, that will take your money and
all over the country. It's not just
I know,
here.
but it just seems like it's so bad here.
It's everywhere.
They'll take your money and then not even handle the dog.
Well, you know, I got in trouble for that here a while back. Somebody commented somewhere that they came here for a meet and greet, and I didn't let their dog out of the car. And then I dissed their dog. I'm not sure wasn't the person who said they would let their daughter get bit, but not their son, to test their dog to see if it would bite. That had already bit him, you know. And so everybody's not for everybody. Mm-hmm. And I will tell somebody that, you know, if that's out of my league or wheelhouse or comfort zone, I'll tell them, you know, it's not going to work for me, you know, whether it be the dog or the person, you know, or both. But I don't just take somebody's money and not help their dog and send them home. If it's the person who continues to make mistakes and don't follow our program, that's kind of on them, you know. But I feel that there's so many times that, like I said, people leave here and they still have a lot of questions, you know, and you're really good about answering them. I don't deal with them as much. Mickey does a lot now, and you do, you know.
Yeah.
Once they go home, but if you take your dog home from us and it's not working, and if you don't contact us, it's not our freaking fault, you know. It's your own damn fault. But if you contact us and you don't want to follow the program we set up for you, Bianca always tries to, and she comes to me quite often and talks about how do you think we could help these people change their program. And my bottom line is you've got to be able to go to work, so you've got to get sleep. So we need to figure out how we can do that part.
Yeah.
And then we'll keep working with everything else. But regardless, you know, if you remember Akko,
every dog is kind of their own experiment, because we don't know, we can predict, but we don't know for sure what areas that collectively the dog and the owner are going to struggle with together when they go home. Some dogs that we think are really going to struggle go home and fly.
Yeah,
They're like spread their wings and don't need us anymore. So some dogs that we think are going to do stellar really need us.
Yes.
And it's hard to know exactly what area they're going to struggle with the most, and then we do what's best for the human and the dog in the struggle.
Yes.
We don't say you have to do X, Y, and Z. We
I
do
tell
come up
people
with
all
some
the time.
boundaries that you have to stick to. Like, we will tell some people who have come to us with behavioral rehabs that bit people or dog fought or whatever their aggression issue is, if they're at that caliber, we're like, no, they cannot be on the couch.
Yeah.
No, they cannot be on the bed. That's a no-brainer, and if you do those things, we can't help you.
Yes.
But if it's the dog sleeps on the floor, not on the bed, but it has a hard time in the crate, we might meet you in the middle for a while, but we're going to still try and fix and address that problem. We just don't want you to suffer for 7 nights of no sleep.
It's just really, it frustrates me to see the amount of time, money, and effort. Because there's people that'll spend $6,000, $8,000, $10,000 in training before they come here. And sometimes they come here and they're like, well, nobody's ever addressed us and blamed us and taught us. I'm like, well, you haven't been here. You know, if you have a dog and you have a dog problem, 99% of the time it's human related.
The one client had been to so many trainers and spent so much money, and she said no one's ever told her what she's doing wrong. They just talked about the dog. That's crazy.
It is, but some people, you know, I feel don't want to hurt the person's feelings.
That's crazy.
And they don't want to lose the client, you know, and I can't live in that world. I mean, I might have to go back to picking up beer cans.
I've been telling people lately, when we say things they don't want to hear, it's like, don't you think we would tell you what you'd like to hear if it worked?
Yeah.
Don't you think we'd way rather say, yeah, your dog can be on the couch, your dog can eat with you at the dinner table, and you'll have absolutely zero problems with this dog that bit you when you were carrying your garbage bag.
Did you work here whenever that lab came in years ago, and me and the guy just couldn't quite
Yes,
get
I
along?
know exactly who you're talking
And
about.
he wanted to know why I wanted to charge him $4,000 back then instead of $2,000 for his dog. And I said, because your dog might bite me, you know. I said, I have a better chance of getting bit than not. He said, no, my dog ain't gonna bite you. I said, hey, dude, I'll tell you what. I said, I'll make you a deal. And everybody, and I don't remember who I was around paying everybody about all shit. I said, I'll charge you $2,000. It's not an issue, but if your dog bites me, you bring me $10,000 cash. All right. No, I don't think I'll do that. And he never brought his dog back that I'm aware
No,
of.
he didn't. Yeah.
But, you know, it was a fact. That dog had a better chance of biting me than not biting me. But the human was so determined that his dog would never bite me. But he wasn't $10,000 determined. And I don't know what he ever did with his dog, you know, but I'm not in the dog business to get bit. You know, I don't like to get bit. I always want to prevent getting bit and prevent a dog fight. And it don't always work that way, you know. Once in a while I get bit. We have a dog argument once in a while, you know, but we really try to probably use more caution on a dog getting in a fight than me getting bit.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, because we don't want the dogs to get hurt.
Yeah. Don't mind Marvin getting bit. Don't get a dog bit.
Akko's mom said that was me 7K before Marvin and Bianca.
Yeah.
And that's just amazing.
That hurts me. That, like, it just, if it wouldn't, if it wouldn't affect our brand, I would go knock on their doors.
But if you look
and
at
say,
the
what
other,
were you thinking?
if you look at the other side of this picture, when some people come here and they haven't ever been nowhere else, and we tell
not her. I'm not saying I would be frustrated with her.
Oh no, I know,
trainers
Yeah, I know what
took
you're
them
talking
up.
about. But some people that come here and haven't been nowhere else, you know, we tell them what we charge, and they're like, oh my God, no, they leave and go Joe Bob. Then they go to Joe Bob's uncle, you know, and then they go spend $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $8,000. Then they come back knocking on their door.
I'm pretty sure Laura and Jeff have proved they would sell their house and spend it on alcohol.
Well, they did, but I mean, what I'm saying is some people won't go to the hardcore, tell you the truth person.
We do get a lot of people who say, I don't think we need something so serious.
Yes, and they'll go elsewhere.
Call us when you do.
And then 6 months or a year, 2 or 3 years later, they come back and be like, hey, can you help us? And we're like, you know. I just seen Shadows post it, he's
8
4 or
years
5
old.
years, 8 years old, yeah. And
anytime someone says my dog has really bad separation anxiety, I'm like, couldn't possibly be worse than Shadow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shadow's
I'd
terrible.
say Shadow was worse than Akko.
He just wasn't as noisy.
Yeah.
He was worse as far as making messes and shitting everywhere. And
He like, the second
Crying.
you locked him up, he would
Yeah.
eliminate himself in the kennel. And then you'd have to get him out and rinse the dog, and clean the kennel, and
Without
take him for a
getting
walk.
bit.
Yeah.
Without getting bit.
Yeah.
Paula said we tried online and other training. When we brought Talos and later Pi for training, we received training that we needed for us and the dogs. We appreciate having ongoing training assistance forever.
Yeah, even though I haven't seen y'all forever, but I heard you were here the other day. But you know, it's really fun to see all the dogs we've fixed and all the people we've helped, and it's wicked to see people like Akko's owners. Mm-hmm. They're still just dying to give that dog a hug and a cheeseburger and put him in the bed and snuggle with him. But they do so good with him. And from what we see now, I don't know if they can still leave him in a crate at home and leave without him screaming or not. If you're on here, you can answer that. But it's fun to see when he came in here the other day. He was so cool.
He was so cool.
I mean, there wasn't even no issues, no mark. He talks
He was
smack.
so good, I almost couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He talks smack once in a while in his kennel, you know.
He's going to do that till he dies.
Yeah. But he just was good. He was good taking him in and out.
Yeah.
I mean, he just was a nice dog. And so that's back to like I talked about my team roping thing. It's just determination of not accepting failure.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And once you see that something kind of works, it's easier to put a little more effort into it.
Totally. Yeah. But you have to work until you see that.
Yes.
Because you will see it.
That's the lady the other day in a meet and greet told me that she said it's just not about somebody showing her what they can do with her dog. It's a matter of teaching her how she can accomplish that. And I told her that's what we're about.
Yeah,
you know?
and we've had some people who we can show them in 2 lessons. We've had some people it takes 10.
Yeah.
But we'll put in the work if you show up.
Yes.
But if you don't show up, we can't teach you anything.
Yeah, that's it. And some dogs need more hands-on with the owner before they leave here. And some people way need more hands-on with their dog before they leave here because they just don't get it, you know. Mm-hmm. And it ain't easy. I always talk about how easy it is. Bianca always lecturing me about how hard it is instead of how easy it is. And it's not like it's so easy to do it, you know. It's
simple concepts. It's emotionally hard.
Yeah. You know, here a while back, I had a dog in a round pen that I thought was going to bite me, a big dog. And I'm like, no, I got to put out my mind. Because I was almost like, this is going to hurt. Because I've seen it coming, you know. And I put my mind out of that thought and got myself out of that situation before I got bit by the dog. But I feel sometimes, you know, there's such a fine line between do and don't, you know. And with the majority of the training we do, I tell people you can make 500 mistakes and it don't make shit.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
You know, but in the situation I got myself in, I about made that mistake. And it wasn't like do that 500 times. It's like, no, I played Russian roulette and I got out of it. And I'm not sure how many bullets was in my gun. But when you get into the situations here, for me anyway, I never want an owner to get bit by their dog, you know. And I've had it to happen a time or two over the years where the owner got bit by their own dog because their dog was pissed at them because the owner didn't give them hugs and cheeseburgers when they got to see them. So it can happen, you know, and people, my dog would never bite me. And that's a good mindset to have, you know. I mean, you're already got confidence that your dog won't bite you, so it makes it a lot easier for you to push the envelope a little bit to try to get your dog to do something. But I feel over the years I've learned how to back off and not let the person push the envelope enough that their dog would bite them too, you know, because I don't ever want that to happen. But if you, and anything in life, it doesn't matter, I don't think, what it is. If you don't put the effort into it, you don't get to reap the rewards, as they say, you know. And we see it here. We see people come in here and we're like, there ain't no way in hell they're going to win. And man, they just step their game up and become an awesome leader, and they have great dogs, and they get to go have a world of fun with their dogs. And then we have people that come here that once in a while they come back and get refreshers for them and their dogs just because they got relaxed, you know, because their dog done so good. They just went a little too far on the relaxation, and their dog got themselves in a little bit of trouble. And the people, Finn, I wasn't gonna name dogs,
Finn,
but the people come back, and for me, it's almost a fact. And I'm not picking on Jim or what's her name.
it's not Jim. I'm sorry.
No,
Heather.
I said Jim R.
I think it's Heather.
Huh?
I think it's Heather.
Heather. I'm not picking on Jim or Heather, but the harder it is for the person to leave the dog here, the harder it is to fix the person. What's his name left Akko the other day?
You know what's? I'll say something good about Finn.
I can say a lot of good stuff about Finn. Finn's
I know.
cool.
He's had so much training. They've done so much work that it doesn't even matter that he's naughty right now.
He's so easy to fix.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the thing is the foundation is there.
But it's like, Finn, come? No.
Yeah, Finn
Finn,
set.
come?
No.
No.
Finn
in
down.
a minute.
No.
In a minute.
I'll
I'll be there in a minute.
I want a cheeseburger first. Yeah. But what's his name? That Akko's daddy. What's his name?
Jeff.
Jeff. Yeah, I want to say Jim. But
You talk so much smack to him.
Yeah, but he earns it. You know, he works hard. He left his dog the other
Sure,
day.
what your theory is there, but
He left his dog the other day, and he's like, "I'll be back tomorrow." I know you only got to stay one night. I was like, "Let's go,
under
man.
the bus.
back
That's just
tomorrow."
wrong,
I'm like,
Marvin.
"Oh,
That's just
shit,
wrong.
dude." But the fun thing is, when they walked in that barn hallway, that dog did not pull his leash. They walked up the door. The dog laid down. He rang the doorbell. Opened the door. The dog stayed there till we asked the dog to get up. He walked him in on a loose leash. I mean, you know, you could talk smack to your dog like that if you can get him to behave like that. That was pretty awesome. So, super proud of both of them for that. And, Bianca, you got anything you want to add to this?
Paula said this month has been busy. You'll be seeing more of us in January.
Yeah, next year.
I will just add, if you're going to a trainer and you're like, I don't think this is going to work, and they tell you it's going to take a year for your dog to be able to recall, and they say a whole lot about your dog and not a whole lot about you or your relationship with your dog, you need a new trainer.
You know, you sound almost as bad as I used to when you get on to me for talking like that.
Yeah. Just new year, new me.
Aqua's mom also said, no, he's in a kennel and never on the bed or anything.
But can both of you leave the house and he behaves?
She also said, I will not accept failure ever.
Yeah.
I know.
Determined.
I'm just super proud of both of you. You know, for me, it's, and I know with horses, you know, I've had horses at different trainers, and I always swear by Mike and Amanda Marriott. If you're on here and you need a horse train, that's always my go-to people. I don't know how many of our horses they rode for us, and Mike, bless you, helped me with roping, you know. Mandy tried to help me with how to ride a horse, but that didn't go as good because I don't listen sometimes, but it wasn't her fault. I think it's just really hard. It's hard sometimes for somebody to go to a trainer, regardless of what it is, fitness, dogs, horses, and quit, you know? Sometimes, like the other day, somebody had a dog here. They had a...
Oh, the one that was going to go finish out their pet classes.
They still had three lessons coming they paid for. I'm like, why?
Yeah, at a trainer
Why?
that it wasn't working, but they didn't want to waste the ones that they already bought.
I'm like, why? It's just like, is that dog here?
Yeah.
And I'm super glad the lady listened to her, the man, whatever it was, they listened to us, you know. But it's like, oh, dang, it's just like people get stuck in a rut, you know. And I asked someone the other day, they got our name 6 months ago.
Well, I think they have I think that clients get themselves in a spot where they think anything will be helpful, where if you actually go to certain trainers, we feel it's the opposite. It's
well, that and if somebody like you said a while
creates
ago,
problems.
the Walmart dog, you know, remember
Yeah.
the Walmart dog? He came here and all he wanted was recall because his dog ran off and went to Walmart, and Walmart had to call him to come get his dog out of the store. Probably down there eating cheeseburgers out of the thing, I don't know, but he trained that dog with us, and he only wanted recall, but we ended up doing more, and we just done the hybrid with him. Because he lived right here, he still be here, you know. And he only came once. He done everything against our rules. He came once a week because that's all the time he had. He's a super busy guy, and I respect somebody who works 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. We'll help you figure out time. But if you work a 40-hour week, you might need to figure out how to make time work with our schedule. But anyway, he did it all, and his dog was so cool. He got another dog. It was a mountain wall. I don't know why still, but that's what he wanted, and he got it.
You don't know why anyone has 2 dogs.
And Bianca, you're not supposed to be drawing artwork on your time card. She drew all over her time card, Irene. Watch, we don't pay her 900 hours. But as soon as he got his
$5,000 bonus.
as soon as he got his new mountain wall, what was that, a year, 2-year-old dog or something?
I don't know.
He came straight here and done lessons. And we ain't heard from him for a long time, but he had 2 cool dogs when he got done. And the whole
We
thing
recently had someone who brought their ornery dog and then said their other dog was really good, but now their ornery dog is the good one, and because they trained it, and now they're like, yeah, I think we're going to get the good one on board too.
Yeah. So it's really a lot of work to pick the trainer that fits for you, you know. And I hurt people's feelings, you know. I told somebody the other day that I've been called a prick a few times, usually after they leave. They'll say that I was not very nice to them, but I feel that I'm always nice to people. I just tell them the truth, and some people it hurts their feelings more than others. But
Sometimes the delivery is a little sharp.
sometimes I don't know, it might need to be. It's just really hard to sit there and tell somebody, "Oh, you're doing great."
You don't have to say
When you're
that.
terrible.
It's just sometimes there's a happy medium. There is.
I'm
There
pretty
is.
good with
You're
the
really
happy medium.
practicing
Better
it.
than you
are.
sometimes.
Oh,
You're worse
stop.
than me sometimes.
It's sharp.
But it is. It's really hard for some people to pull out of a program that they prepaid for, you know.
Or they already are like committed to.
Well, yeah, the same difference, you know. And
I've quit a lot of personal trainers because I was like, this isn't going to work for me. They did a lot of the, you're doing a good job. And I was like, yeah, I'm doing so good. Now I have Krista who was like,
yeah. It's just hard for people to accept the fact that you can't just go to someone
that tells you what you want to hear.
yeah, that don't. For me, I think there's so, like, the little Luna dog that's here, the little black dog. Didn't they get in trouble somewhere at a daycare or something, trainer or something? Remember Luna?
Yeah,
What are we doing?
nothing.
Oh. But they had trouble with her somewheres. And when they came here, they couldn't believe that we could just walk her through the barn. And she'd behave, and I had another dog out by her, and she could behave, you know. So it really, sometimes you can
She went to set your dog free too.
yeah, and she done good, huh?
Yeah, she did awesome.
But they've been elsewhere, you know, and it wasn't working for them. And I think that sometimes it's just really hard to find. Even, there's some people just can't get along with me, believe it or not, you know. I know it's hard to believe, but there's some people just
Believe
can't.
it or not.
Yeah. And I remember we've had people say, I want to work with Bianca. I don't want to work with that Marvin guy.
There's been way more people who have said that they wanted to work with you and not me.
They didn't know me yet.
Yeah. Remember the one guy that was like, I came here for Marvin, and then he worked with you, and then he worked with me, and then he was like, can I work with Bianca?
Yeah, he didn't want to work with me no more.
And you told me, charge him extra.
Yeah.
Akko's mom said not together yet, but individually, yes.
They said what?
Akko's mom said not together yet, but individually, yes.
My God.
I gotta go.
I'm scratching all that shit I said.
Leanne Collins says that's me and Luna.
Yeah,
Oh, she's
it
out
is.
here, yeah.
Dog reactivity, and then she said, we are picking up Luna today.
Yep.
Oh, yeah,
We're
that's
excited.
exciting. Yeah.
That dog's just a nice dog. It's
She's
just,
really cool.
hopefully you've been on here for this whole whatever amount of 45-minute lecture.
Lecture.
Yeah, so don't forget that we're
We
here
gotta
to
wrap
help you.
this lecture up. We got work to do.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Well, Brett, I guess we're leaving. Y'all have a good day. We'll see you next year. Literally.
He loves saying that.
Yeah.